Scuba GOAT Under the Sea, the podcast for the inquisitive diver.
Welcome to the Scuba GOAT podcast, where we take a deep dive into the captivating world of scuba diving and ocean exploration. Today we are thrilled to have a distinguished guest with us, a man whose passion for diving spans over 3 decades and has led him to become one of the most skilled technical divers and instructors in the Southern Hemisphere. Google the name of Pete Mesley and you'll find his namesake website, which contains his passion in life. 2 of which are the lust for rust and shock and awe big animal diving. And if that's not enough, you'll also find a rundown of all the technical training he has on offer. As a member of the Explorers Club, Pete's love for wreck diving has taken him to some of the most historically significant sites across the globe, where he has documented them through his stunning photography and his work as a safety diver. Today we have the pleasure of hearing firsthand from Pete about his experiences as an adventurer and his unique perspective on the world beneath the waves. So, sit back, relax, raise a glass, and join us for an unforgettable conversation with Pete Mesley on the Scuba GOAT podcast. G'day, Pete. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, that's probably one of the best introductions I've ever heard in my life. In fact, I'm going to probably record that, snip that, and yeah, man, you've created a foundation of which I don't think can be topped.
Awesome sauce.
Thanks very much for those kind words, man.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Very nice.
And it's well deserved. And I'm glad I got it out in almost one piece.
Yeah. No, it's good to be here, man. It's good to be here.
Well, I mean, we've got a lot to dive into, and I'm sure there's plenty of people listening in that know your name and obviously know your face as well, and possibly your drinking habits, and maybe even your grasshopper in the background.
I've been trying to kill that bugger for the last couple of days now. So it's not an added soundbite where everyone's those silences that you have and you hear the cricket in the background tweeting
and
away.
The tumbleweed going past.
Hopefully we won't have any of those. Exactly.
There's a good buddy of mine actually from America. He's a cracking photographer, and he's one of those people that's just larger than life, and everybody loves him. Ronnie, and he does that noise on his own. He whistles like a cricket. And you'll be sitting in the bar. What the fuck is that? Oh, it's Ronnie at the end of the bar.
Is that him trying to kill someone's conversation? Is it the conversation's getting to a crescendo of deathly silence?
I think so. Yeah? Hey, when we have some deathly silence in here, then at least we've got the backup. You got your support in the background. Okay. So there's obviously going to be other people on the show or listening in that haven't got the foggiest who you are. So, Pete, why don't you just give us a little bit of a rundown on yourself?
Well, mate, after that intro, there's not much more to say, really. It's like a struggling diving instructor who's tried to make it in the industry for the last 30-odd years, and basically just kicking and screaming my way through to try and earn some sort of a wage and an income from the diving industry, and to be honest, like I just cannot complain at all, But the biggest part about my job is being diverse and dynamic, because like my training alone, it's very difficult to feed my family with just the training alone. So then my trips, the same thing with that, and I do a lot of film safety work and then contract photography, and each one in their own right won't be able to earn me a full-time living, but collectively it's basically brought me into where I am today, and to be honest, mate, I just couldn't think of doing anything else. So.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. It's a struggle, I mean, and it's a constant theme that comes up on the podcast about the lack of income within the dive industry. But I think you're one of the people that is a good example on put in the hard effort and the hard work, and like you say, diversify, and you can make it, and you can make it an enjoyable lifestyle.
Oh, totally, mate. Obviously there's 2 types of wealth that I believe in, and obviously money is one of the areas of wealth, but the other area of wealth is just surrounding yourself with good people and doing some cool stuff. and if I were to have a philosophy in my life or a life goal, is to do cool shit with cool people, and and maybe this is fighting talk coming from me now, because I've got a really understanding wife who's got a very good job, and the mortgage gets paid every month, and so hence if I was led to make sure that I was to pay the mortgage every month, we'd be living out of a cardboard box, But we would be rich in other aspects, But it's no. Like, I'm very, very lucky, and it's all the people in the background, i.e. my wife, that keeps the home fires burning, and to do a job that I'm doing is extremely hard on the family life, and when you got a good woman, mate, you got to look after them, you got to hold on to them. So I organised Raoul, the pool guy, to come and look after the missus while I'm away, and we don't have a pool, but she hates it when I say those things, but no, mate, like I'm very, very lucky to be in a position where I am, and just meeting some really cool people along the way, and that's one of the biggest things, is because we all struggle through our lives, right? So we struggle with work, we've got to pay the bills and all the rest of it, and then the other struggle is what we want to get out of our lives, and that big clock is ticking, and obviously I speak for myself, because you are in your youthful years, I am in my twilight
mate, I'm
years,
not that far behind
and,
you. Don't let these stunning good looks fool you.
Well, like they do say that you had a face for radio, and now I actually realise that they're true, man. Like, you really do have a face for radio. So I think podcasts are a very important thing that you're gonna be relying on.
Yeah, the voice works well.
But no, it does. It's I can't help but feel mildly aroused when I hear you talking.
Your eyes aren't painted on, mate. Hey, actually, how old are you? How far ahead of me are you?
53. So.
So you're only 3 years ahead of me.
Yeah, 69, baby. So born and bred in Zimbabwe, which is obviously most people know that if they have that know me. But I met my wife when I was living in England, and that's where I cut my teeth. That's where I learned to dive down in the southern end of England, and obviously I spent the first couple of 100 hours of my diving career, the first couple of years diving around Cornwall, Exeter, Bournemouth, Bovisand, Stony Cove.
Yay!
Yeah, I learned to dive there, and that was some of the earliest recollections of making me want to buy a dry suit, which I had no money for. And my first recollections was sitting in the bottom of Stony Cove in 4 degrees of water in January, doing my open water course, and I had obviously all my gear was hired out, and I remember sitting there freezing my proverbials off, and I desperately needed to go for a wee, and it's one of the most single beautiful moments of my life, which turned into the worst moment of my life, where I had a wee, and it's all this beautiful warm water just came up through my wetsuit all the way along my chest, up and through into my hood, and then just turned stone cold. And that's the first and only time I ever weed in my wetsuit, and that prompted me to go to my local dive shop the next weekend and plead with them to sell me a dry suit. And I'd actually applied for a credit card about 30 times and got denied each time. And obviously the guys at the visa company took pity on me, and they gave me a credit of £500. and I've never cleared my credit card since. And that was in 1998, you know? And I've never looked back since, you know. Yeah.
What was it that got you in the water then? I mean, hold on, let's back it up a bit. How the hell have you gone from Zimbabwe to the UK? What made that move?
Oh, mate, you know, it's I guess it's kind of a usual story with most people who are living in these sort of like third or fourth world countries. Like when I left school, we went on a rugby tour to Dublin in Ireland, and I come from a single parent family, and money wasn't thrown around as easily back in the day, and so I decided to stay in the UK, and my mum is from Belfast, just north of Belfast, and so after my rugby tour, I actually turned 18 on the plane, and after my rugby tour, we got the train up to Belfast, and I spent a couple of years in Belfast, and the guy, my cousin, who took me under his wing, and he taught me how to be a tradesman, a painter and decorator, which actually helped pay my way through my diving career. And he was running low on work, so he says, "Look, do you want to come with me? I'm going to England to go and get some work." So I thought, yeah, man, let's just look, whatever, let's go for gold. And so I went over to the UK with him, and I promptly got fired. I got fired the first week on the job. Anyway, but so I probably got another job, and I ended up staying with some friends of mine, some ex-schoolmates in London, in South London, and that's where I met my wife, my future wife, and I was playing rugby for a local dive club there, and then that's where I learned to dive, and in 1990, and we the rest is history. After that, you know, and then you know, my missus, because I always wanted to go to Australia. I thought, look, Australia is the place for diving and all the rest of it. So we ended up heading off to Cairns, and it's probably the worst thing that I've ever done in my life. You know, like the most disappointing diving I've ever done. It was absolutely horrid, and you know, we went up there. I was super excited. We went out to Cairns, and we went with a local dive store there, one of the largest dive stores there, and unbeknown to me, like the local government there only sell the local dive stores so many mooring sites. So even though we're on the Great Barrier Reef, these dive sites have been dived like a gajillion times, and for the uninitiated, you know, people who want to go and see Nemo and you know, a couple of reef fish and some batfish that eat all the food scraps underneath the boat, that they love it, you know. But I you know, I spent the last 8 months in the Red Sea, and so I knew what tropical diving was, and we spent 4 days on the Barrier Reef, and I said, no, this is terrible. And
so you didn't get to go further out then? I'm assuming it was all the local dive sites.
So thankfully, now I've got friends, I've got friends in Australia, and heading way up north, Lizard, you know, all the way up there, and the guys said the diving there is spectacular. So I've got a mate who owns he doesn't own it. Mike Ball owns the boat, but he's a captain of one of the vessels there, and he says, "Look, come, you know, this place is super special," and so hopefully I'll get up there sometime, you know, before I die.
Yeah, do it, mate.
You know?
Do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was up there last November. I went out with Martin Connolly from Scuba IQ, and we went up into the ribbon reefs. So you pass by all the local ones where you've got 2 million people doing tri dives every day. Yeah. And then once you hit the ribbon reefs, it's actually really pretty. And there was, I wouldn't say a massive abundance of fish. It's nothing like Papua New Guinea, but there's certainly enough to be getting on with. And the night dives were good. Lots of sharks.
Yeah, a mate of mine, Simon Mitchell, he just was absolutely raving about a trip that he went up with a mate of mine, Trev Jackson, up off Sport, and I don't exactly know where they went. I think it was Lizard Island, and the images that Simon got from that trip was just stunning. And you got this massive walls just full of, absolutely jam-packed full of massive gorgonians and beautiful big soft corals. Yeah, I can't wait, man. Yeah, I can't wait.
Oh, it's got to be done. Simon's coming on the podcast soon.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you what, that's the only guy with more letters after his name then.
Than the alphabet.
My goodness, like, you know, the only letters that I've got after my name is HSD, which is high school dropout, you know. And you guys, whoever's listening to this, you got to listen to Simon. He's a really good guy, and he's a prolific diver and a great storyteller, and you'll have some fun listening to him. He's good fun.
He's super knowledgeable as well, isn't he? Actually, I've invited him on because I had a laryngospasm in December underwater.
Oh, so, joy!
Yeah,
and the good thing is that you're running around now, which is which is a big advantage.
It's always nice.
Oh, jeepers, man. Yeah.
So I'm going to pick his brains.
Hey, I've got a question for you, Matt.
Go on.
Why are you called the Scuba Goat?
Well, I'm not the Scuba Goat. It was just a title for the show. Goat being greatest of all time, and it was. I'm a massive boxing fan, and Muhammad Ali is right up there as one of my favourites. And his missus created, you know, the clothing brand, and you know, Goat was linked onto Muhammad Ali. So it was just what stuck in mind, and when I put the logo together. And Goat just fit underneath Scuba, so I thought, fuck it, that'll do. Quite honestly.
No. I was going to say, like, I wasn't going to mention that you actually did resemble. If you had a goatee, I would say that there would be a very small resemblance here, but not a lot. Okay.
I'm in a local dive club here, Scubaholics. And the guys that run it and invited me into it, they put nicknames on everyone for going into the chats when we're organising groups away. So my nickname is Billy Goat, and the missus has been put in as Nanny Goat.
I'm sure she'd love that.
Yeah, thankfully she's got a sense of humour, so we're all good. Now,
cheers.
Let's cheers, old bean. Let's talk about some diving, shall we?
Sure.
Okay. Excuse me. Let's talk about Chuuk, because you've been there once or twice, haven't you?
Well, what a place, man! It's just like, I tell you, I didn't think a single destination could be as much fun for so many times. Like, I just come back in November, right, and that was trip number 36 for me, and you know, maybe 15 or 1600 hours in the water there. And to be honest, mate, so Chuuk Lagoon is quite a good percentage of my annual revenue, right? So I earn money from it and all the rest of it. But to be honest, mate, if I didn't enjoy going, I would be planning trips to somewhere else. You know, the place is just. It's so awesome, you know. We've got they say they boast 60 wrecks, but they're kind of there is, but there's about 38 there, which are absolutely world class wrecks, and 14 of those are deeper than 50 meters. The rest are in recreational diver depths, and that's why, in my opinion, Chuuk is probably dollar for dollar the best value wreck destination on a planet, because you can have relatively new, inexperienced divers coming there. And,
really?
They would have an absolute ball. Do you know there's 8 passenger liners there, mate? 8. Right?
Jesus.
So you're talking 550, 600 foot, 150, 160 meter long ships. And you know, most of these are in recreational depths, 40 meters or shallow. You know, like I've done a couple of presentations or podcasts or whatever it is for the American public, and I've been talking foot. Thankfully, we can go back to metric, which is a big relief to me, So, oh man, it's such a lot of fun, and the cool thing is that with truck, you go there for the first time, and it's kind of the whole fun of going to truck for the first time is, for everybody, it's their bucket list, right? Oh, before I die, I want to go and dive Chuuk Lagoon. And that was my trip. So in 2001, I went for the first time. And that was my bucket list trip. And as it happens, the first day that I was diving there, I thought, there's no way that I'm not coming back. And that's when I started to plan and organize trips in the future from my 2001 once in a lifetime trip to Chuuk Lagoon. And it's just keeps on giving, like I've had, I don't know, maybe about 950 people through, coming through, quite a few repeat offenders. There's a lot of repeat offenders. And the cool thing is that once you come for the first time and you just like tick off all the boxes you want to say, okay, well, I want to dive 28 wrecks in 12 or 14 days of diving, and that's just a lot of fun, But then you come for the second time, the third time, then you start calming down, you start getting to know these wrecks a little bit more, and it's just a mountain of fun. And your diving progresses. You learn some new skills. You go back home and you learn some new skills, and then you come back again. You can do a little bit more advanced penetration, some deeper stuff. If you're not trained for deeper stuff, then we got all the gear in the world for all technical diving. Side mount buoys, the back mount twins. We've got rebreather accessories up the wazoo. I've got 60 sets of rebreather tanks. So we can accommodate a lot of people. So the cool thing is that I charter out all the boats, and the boats take 6 divers, a maximum of 6 divers per boat, and we put 1 boat per wreck. So even though I'll have like 30 or 40 people on the trips with me, you'll never see the other groups when you're diving, and then everyone just converges at the bar in the evening. It's like, and then everyone can talk about their day's diving and chat about what they're going to be doing the next day and all the rest of it. So it's super, super, super fun.
Well, let's paint a bit of a picture, because anyone who's listening in, has an imagination, and most divers will have heard of Chuuk Lagoon, but you assume it's all kind of liverboard diving, that kind of thing, and I'm assuming, I've seen 1 or 2 photos, I must admit, but you've got smaller boats that go from the shoreline out to the dive sites, correct?
Yeah, totally. When I first went there, I looked very hard into all the different options. I thought, well, very, very early on, the liverboard option was just completely scrumpled up and thrown in the bin, because you've got 16 divers descending onto the same wreck. Everyone goes to the same places. So like now, as long as you are number 1 or number 2 all the time, then you'll be fine. Yeah. But if you're 3, 4 or 15 or 16 and you go into the engine room, then it's just going to be pea soup wherever you go. And so the land-based operation works extremely well for me. And we've got oxygen generation plants there. We got everything, helium, and basically we head out. The dive sites are only like 15 minutes. The furthest dive site away is one of the only 2 destroyers in the lagoon, a wreck called the Oiti, and that's the furthest away, and that's like 12 mile away. So that's like 45-50 minute boat ride. But the rest of the wrecks are all within 15 minutes boat ride. So you go for leave around about 8 o'clock in the morning, get in the water 8:30, get out the water about 10:30, 11, come back, have some lunch, have a little sleep, get back in the water at about 2:30, 3 o'clock, go for a 90-minute dive in the afternoon, and you sit for the rest of the time processing pictures and having a few cheeky reds. It's great. It's an awesome time.
Yeah.
And I love it.
And how are you using the local dive guides there, or the people that are coming along just leading themselves?
Yeah, there's a dive guide on each of the boats, and they're extremely knowledgeable guys, but they're all kind of all recreational, but they'll all dive the deep wrecks with all the technical divers, but they'll go and do a short amount of bottom time, and then they'll disappear. So most of the guys just ask them to show them a way where all the important fun stuff is, and then they'll just leg it afterwards. But over the years, the guys have been quite keen to make me earn my keep, and so I'm quite happy to like before. Most of the time, the guys would go, "Look, just leave us alone, mate. We know the blunt end and we know the sharp end of a wreck. Like we know all the bits in the middle. Just give us a good briefing and just leave us be." And so I've been doing a lot of photo workshops and helping people out with photography and also the guys who look, we want to go here, we want to go there, and there's a few little scary monster sphincter factor 10 dives, and the guys really want to. I don't know why, but they just want to be frightened. So I'm quite happy to take them in and show them a good time, And, But there's just a lot of fun, a lot of fun there.
And when are you going out next again?
Soon. Like 21 of May, I'm there for 6 weeks. So I got three projects on the go at the moment. I just came back from there, and we were working on a special project which I've been sworn to secrecy. I'm not allowed to tell anybody what it was, but it was very very meaningful and rewarding project, and. So I was there for 3 weeks, and then I'm back in May, 21 till the end of June. So 6 weeks there, and working with Matt Carter and the boys from Project or the Major Projects Foundations.
Yep.
And worked last year with them on the oil recovery. Like that's a real important factor that I've been working on for many years now, and a project which is very dear to me, because I've been 3D mapping all the wrecks of Chuuk, and we've with my partner, a guy called Marcus Blatchford. He's an absolute guru in the 3D photogrammetry circles, and so Marcus and myself have partnered up, and we've smashed out 12 wrecks now, 14 including the planes, and Marcus is coming again in June, and we're gonna smash out a few more. So we're hopefully going to finish the 38 wrecks this year, and have the 3D models and create that baseline, and having that baseline of all the wrecks in Chuuk, in my opinion, is just so important, because I just wish that we had the technology like 25 years ago, and to be able to have these models secured for eternity, and a lot of this is happening around the world now, which is great. Like there's some people producing some super awesome stuff, and it's just like we don't understand and we don't realize that everything is going to eventually be this big pile of orange silt on the bottom, and having these models are there forever. And historically, when people are learning about history, you got these kids that put the 3D VR goggles on, and they can actually go through a virtual swim through around these wrecks, and they may have all disappeared. Like I was part of a project, a filming project in the Java Sea in 2019, and the project was actually a documentary series of one of the Dutch high commanders, the naval high commanders, a guy called Carl Dorman, and his son Theo Dorman was with us in the boat, and the guy was like in his mid-80s, you know, and he was a survivor of one of the wrecks, the ships and all the rest of it, and we go there and they were gone, you know, and we thought, no, this can't be right, you know, this can't be right, like, so we had a guy, Scotty Willem, who was doing all the sonaring, the bottom scanning, and he had a super awesome WASP system, which was actually designed by Kiwis, and he scanned the bottom, and there were these huge holes where these wrecks had been literally taken out by grabs, and so there's a big documentary about that, and all these ships are gone, you know.
So people have physically come along and taken them? Yeah.
And what a story it is, and it's like, you know, I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, you know, and I've dived a lot of wrecks which have been salvaged before, and like when salvagers come, they blast the crap out of them. It's very messy. They grab all the important stuff, like the condensers and, you know, all the stuff with high value metals and all the rest, and they just leave the wreckage. Whereas these wrecks have been like, systematically and taken out, like 100% taking the wrecks off the bottom, and with like military precision, right, and with surgical precision. And so we went down there, and a good mate of mine, Andrew Simpson, who owns a dive store in Auckland here, and he was filming on the trip with me, and I was taking stills, and we managed to positively identify through the wreckage, like we would bring up shells, 4-inch shells from the wreck sites, and we got portholes, images of portholes that were left in the wreckage there, which positively identify the wrecks, and they were just taken away. They're just gone, and then the guys interviewed some of the fishermen. Excuse me. They interviewed some of the local fishermen, because obviously the wrecks are a part of life for them, because they're the fish aggregation areas, and the guy said, look, these guys came with this big barge and a grab, and they all had automatic weapons, and they told us to go, you know, and or we'd get shot. So there's like, it's a big story in itself on that one. I'll tell you, there's a lot of conspiracy there, you know. And the idea and the thought is that you know, because the South China Sea is a big thoroughfare there. So you got all the Chinese and the American and the Australian submarines go like this, and they all know where all the wrecks are. So all the submarines go and sit beside a known wreck, and then when the ships above it are pinging for them, you know. But again, this is just a conspiracy theory, and we'll leave that to another. We'll leave that to the bar, the Sunset Bar in Chuuk Lagoon, when you come with me.
We're in the bar now, mate. Fuck it, go for it. Speaking of which, I'm just going to go and grab another beer. 2 seconds.
Okay.
And we're back. Nice.
Oh.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Do you notice the name?
You've got the beer.
Do you notice the name?
Look at that. Yeah. I'm going to get my own brand of wine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always think that if I never chose diving as my vocation, what would I do? And I thought, there's 2 things that I'd do. One, I'd be a paramedic, because I just love gore, man. I've had a couple of opportunities to fix broken people up, and I actually loved it. You know, there was just blood and guts everywhere, and I absolutely loved it. And then the second vocation would be a winemaker.
Okay.
You know, but then I thought, hey, hang about, look, I'd drink all the profits, and then I'd end up like penniless, and then I'll say, well, hey, I'll be exactly the way I am now, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Someone else paying the mortgage, and
it's not gonna. Yeah, exactly. So we're still in the same position.
So who are we blaming these wreck disappearances on? The Americans?
I don't know, mate. Trump. Let's blame Trump on something.
Yeah. I can only imagine that. I mean, that makes sense if they take away wrecks where subs are hiding, but they'd have to be bloody big wrecks. And
mate, these are like they've taken the Exeter, the De Ruyter, the Java. You know, and all these are heavy cruisers and light cruisers. You know, they're big ships, man. And the big thing is now is the fact that because there was there's a film crew that snuck back in about 6 months after our trip, and out of Surabaya, these barges would come in. And then these 40-foot containers, they would come in to the wharf and load up these 40-foot containers with all the ship wreckage, and they would leave that day. They're gone, you know. And so people go, oh, it's the scrap metal, you know. It's highly sought after. That's a load of bollocks, you know. And again, these wrecks, the 100% of the wreck is taken. And that's really what got me thinking was you know, like salvers, like Scapa Flow, for example. That's a great example of salvers, because the guys go boosh, you know, that open up the hull, they grab all the expensive stuff, and they just leave the rest of it. Not like you know, the South China Sea and the Java Sea, and you know, it's just the wrecks are gone, and
well, you could think about private collectors, but that would have to be someone with a shit ton of money to do that, wouldn't it? Eh? Where would you put them? Stick them in your garden as an ornament?
well, I think I said to take away the whole wreck, but I don't think it's in one piece. I think they're sort of like,
No.
But that would be nice. I think that would be a nice thought, you know, to have half of a ship, half of a heavy cruiser in your backyard. I think that would be quite cool. You know?
There's some little rich kid's playground now.
Yeah. They just get a little cut and they get tetanus and they die. You know, it's just like it'll be easy.
A little bit of poetic justice, really. Hey. Anyway, just backing up to Chuuk a little bit. What's the background behind it? Why is there so many boats there? Why is there so many wrecks?
Oh, mate, yeah. Chuuk was America's response to Pearl Harbor, and what happened there was you know, in February the 18th, 1946, what had happened was Americans sent reconnaissance missions from Kwajalein, and they went over Chuuk, and they'd basically seen that the Chuuk Lagoon obviously is a massive natural harbour, and they were hosting a lot of warships. The Musashi, the Yamato, all of them were there, all the greats. There's a couple of aircraft carriers and everything there. So, oh my goodness, can you imagine if the Musashi was sunk in Chuuk? I'd have a house there. I'd be living over the site, you know. Yeah. And basically, the Japanese spotted the reconnaissance planes, and they got wind of that, and they got really scared. So they sent their warships out to sea, and like I said, 2 weeks later they attacked, and the funny thing is that out of all the wrecks in Chuuk, there's only 2 warships. There's 2 destroyers there. One is what I mentioned earlier on, called the Oiti, and the other one is the Fumizuki. And so Oiti is at about 62 meters, and the Fumizuki is in 40. And the rest of them are all marus, merchant vessels. So you've got submarine tenders, you've got vessels which would carry troops and munitions, arms, arms, bombs, supplies, etc., etc. So there is a lot of stuff to see there, but only 2 warships. That's why Bikini and Truck are just so different in themselves, you know, and that's but the cool thing is that for pretty much any diver, they can go to Truck and enjoy themselves for, I would say, if you went for 6 trips, you would, like I said, I'm 36 trips in, and I'm still not getting bored. But I'd say for your normal atypical diver, they come for 6 trips, and you'd never ever see what you wanted to see. It's just an incredible place.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, that's why I like keep on going back.
Would you say that the better way to do the 2 locations would be to do Truck first then, and then Bikini?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Truck is, like, all I'm going to say to people that are listening here, if you've never been to Truck before, come to Truck. But all you've got to say to yourself is, I'm coming back. Now, it might not be next year, it might not be the year after, or it might not be the year after that. But as long as you say you're coming back, then you're not going to try and see everything. It's humanly impossible. I tried. For the first 11 trips, I tried to see everything in one trip. Yeah. You know, it's humanly impossible. So you can have so much fun there, but you've just got to say, look, I'm coming back. And what I normally say to people is every 2 years. So you go back home, you absorb what you've done, and then what you do is that you do a little bit more training if you wanted to, if you needed to, and then you start saving, and then you pre-book for your trip in 2 years' time, and before you know it, it's 3 months away, and you come back again, and your second trip will be 100% different from the first trip, etc., etc. You know, it's just but that's only one destination, you know, but you're gonna have some fun, you know.
Yeah. And getting to Chuuk, is it? I might be getting them confused, but Chuuk, have you got to go through Guam or something like that?
Oh yeah, you got to go through Guam, but so now if you're coming from oh my goodness, if you're coming at the moment, Australia is quite hard, because back in the day, I remember back in the day, I used to fly up to Cairns, and then I used to fly into Cairns in the morning and get the midnight flight out of Cairns to Truck, and it was incredible. It was awesome. But that stopped a number of years ago, and then Air New Guinea started flying, and they were doing a great job until the pilot thought that he wanted to see whether the boat would skid along the water before the runway, and didn't quite make the runway. And that was an interesting thing. And you know, unfortunately, one person didn't make it. You know, one person died, which is a great tragedy. You know, but yeah, it's still sitting in the bottom of the just before the runway there, and we might even see if we can sneak out and go and do a dive on that at some point, you know. But I think at the moment you got to go through either Manila or Narita. So going from Auckland from here, it's quite funny because we quite literally fly directly over Truck, to get to Narita. So from Auckland, I've worked it out. You see, this is what spare time, what COVID does to you. It takes 6.5 hours to fly from Auckland to Truck direct.
Yeah.
So what I do is I fly Auckland to Narita, 10.5 hours, and then I fly back from Narita to Guam, and then from Guam to Truck. But hey, listen, it's like flying is like, you know, like I never ever complain about flying, because you're either going somewhere cool or you've come back from somewhere cool. So I never ever complain about drinking for hours in airport lounges. You know, one of my favourite places is Narita because it's the first automated beer machine I've ever seen. Have you ever seen an automated beer machine?
No.
A beer dispenser?
No.
It's like I don't drink beer. Like I'm a wino, right? So I don't drink that much beer at all. But I find myself captured by drinking so many of these pints of beer. They're glasses, so they're not a pint. All right? So they're glasses, but so you put it into the machine and you push a button and it angles the glass and it pours the beer in the glass. It straightens the glass and then there's another frother and it goes.
Get out of it.
And nope. No. I haven't been game enough to video it because, you know, like I hate these people online on social media that video themselves or video things doing them to themselves and all the rest of it. So I'm not a big fan of that, but hopefully someone will video it, and I still get enough immense joy watching that beer dispenser.
Well, you're going to have to do it now that you've mentioned it because I want to see it.
All right. Well, listen. I'm going to have to go at a time where no one's there, and just like you know, one of the funniest things is that, you know, people often wonder. They said to my kids, you know, they said, what does your dad do for a living, right? And my kids sit there going, I don't know. He drinks wine for a living. That's, you know, he's a professional wine drinker because all the social media pictures is of me with a glass of wine in my hand. And my kids have kind of thought, And then when people say, hey, man, what does your dad do? You know, because we don't see him for weeks at a time. And then when we do see him dropping you off at school, it looks like he's just been let out of prison. Hang about. Has he been let out of prison? You know, so we it's just super funny, and trying to explain what I do to my kids has been quite an education. You know, like, Dad, what do you do for a living? Well, I take people diving. Oh yeah, and what else? Oh well, I get involved in après diving adventures with them. Oh yeah, what do you do then? Oh, we have a few glasses of wine, a little bit of hilarity, and then we talk about the next day diving. Oh yeah, really? And they pay you for that? I said, oh yeah.
I must admit, we had a little bit of a giggle earlier on today when you sent through the photos for this episode, and you've got the profile photo of Pete Mesley, and then there's Pete Mesley in his dry suit and tanks and sitting on the side of a boat, and then a third one comes in, red wine.
Yeah. So that's more how I'm commonly known. You know, and the thing is, like, now obviously I've been lucky enough to be involved in the speaking circuit for many years at conferences around the world and all the rest of it, and it's just such a great meeting point of like-minded people, and you know, like I said earlier on, doing cool stuff with cool people, you know, and I just, there's nothing that that I enjoy more than being involved in projects with cool people, and you know, that's what I live for, to be honest. Teaching is a big part of my job and all the rest of it. And I've done some cool work, like I work on Avatar as a camera for about 6 weeks down in Wellington, New Zealand, and thanks to everybody who went and watched Avatar, because now that the box office has all broken all of its records, they're going to start sending us some money for 4 and 5. So thank you.
Oh, nice.
And so filming is going to start commencing. I don't know, later on this year, and so hopefully I might have a few stories for you in the future. You know, like it's working on sets was an absolute eye opener. You know, there's a lot of very dedicated people, and you know, Cameron is an absolute psycho. You know, but all the greats are, you know, and I was fortunate enough, because normally I'm working safety on these these films, because I'm looking after the talent or making sure people don't hurt themselves and all the rest of it, and this is the first gig that I'd actually got where I was a camera assist, and that was extremely special for me, so I was shadowing and looking out for the main camera op guy, who's a guy called Pete Zuccarini, and what an absolute legend this boy is, and we talked about every single different angle of Jessica Alba. That have you watched that movie Into the Blue?
Yes.
Okay, so you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And the guy is a magician, he's the guy's amazing, and he's done everything. And I was sitting there chatting with him, because we have a lot of time where we're just sitting in the water and just waiting and standing by to stand by, so we're talking to him about how Jim Cameron and myself, we shared some of the friendships that we have, and unfortunately some of those people aren't here today, because they passed away a number of years ago, and so I was telling Pete about these stories, and he goes, look, Jim would love to hear those stories and all the rest of it, but you got to pick him on his good days, because this guy's got a million things on his mind, and I've seen him just like cut people in half, because all they just wanted to do was shake the guy's hand, and so we finished one night on set, and in the pool, and it was like, whenever Jim walks on set, no one gets out the pool minimum about 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, because the guy is he's just a demon, he just like, when he gets into the work side of things, the guy just never stops,
just get shit done.
Yeah, he does, and 99% is not good enough, so everyone works extremely hard, and we'd finished one night, and so I see Jim Cameron. He was down by the dive deck, and he was talking to his chief dive supervisor, a guy called John Garvin, who was responsible. Some of you may know who John is. John's an absolute pioneer and a guru in his own mindset. He is a guy that wrote Sanctum and has done a lot of good for the diving industry, so John was having a chat with Jim, and so I walked up and I turned over and I looked at Pete Zuccarini, and Pete's going, "Go now, go now, go now, go now is the time." So I walked up there, and anyway, I had a very nice conversation with Jim, and John Garvin talked me up a bit and embellished things, which is it was nice, but it was just but yeah, we had a great conversation. We talked for about 15 to 20 minutes, and we spoke about our friends and our mutual friendship and wreck diving, and yeah, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool, and that would. Yeah, I'll remember that for a while. So next time you might be shouting at me. I'll just happy being there. It was the process was just insane, and the amount of obviously everything, mostly everything. Have you seen the way of water?
Yeah.
Have you seen Avatar 2? Okay, so you see, like, it's all about being underwater and all the rest of it, and I got a small insight. I was only out there for just under a couple of months, and I got a very small insight to how hard these guys work. And Kirk Kroc, who's the chief freediving instructor, who this guy, like, the guy's work ethic is just Unbelievable. And it was just so cool to watch his boys, and hopefully I'll be invited back, and hopefully not embarrass myself, and we'll make the magic happen, you know.
I'm sure you will, mate. And if you need a tank carrying bitch, just give me a shout, yeah.
Oh yeah, sure.
I've got broad shoulders. I can carry tanks, no problem.
Yeah, I've been carrying tanks for a while, man. So I'm in the same boat as you, mate. I'm in the same boat as you.
Oh dear. Hey, where we're going to now? We've had a little bit about Chuuk, and we've talked about your, red carpet and Avatar. Let's talk about some big fish, shall we? Let's get away from the metal for a bit and talk about some big shit.
Yeah.
What's your favourite big piece of meat?
Oh, mate, I'll tell you what. I've built a career around lust for rust and being a wreck fanatic, and of which I am, but nothing gets me going more than some big animal action, and so I started running trips to Galapagos 2014, and my goodness, that is a destination where so I've only been like 7 times now or 8 times now, so I'm still a noob, right? But just like the place is the only, like, when I explain something as white knuckle diving, do you understand what I'm saying?
I do, because I'm going to Galapagos in 15 weeks. I'm on my second visit.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Okay, so I've only ever experienced white knuckle diving in another place, which is Sodwana Bay off the east coast of South Africa.
Yep.
And I worked there for a little bit when I was a kid, and oh my goodness, that's how I broke my tooth. I shattered my front tooth because I was sitting up the front of the vessel, the boat, and so going out of Sodwana Bay is what I consider white knuckle diving. Mm-hmm. That place is just incredible. So like now, every aspect of the whole trip is adrenaline all the way through. Mm. So we're on the east coast on the Indian Ocean. There's always a 2 to 3 meter wave break on the shore, right? And so in the place where we're diving out of it's all ocean, right? And there's this little cove called Sodwana Bay, and then they get the tractors and they push the boats into the water. So we sit on these twin hull absolute fire machines. They've got twin, like 350 horses. These things just go from 0 to like a gajillion miles an hour in 3 seconds, and we basically dodge through. These skippers are just absolutely amazing. And so we basically dodge through the wave breaks, and so we get out through the wave break, and we head out to the dive sites, and it's just some of the most amazing diving that I've done. And so once we get out to these sites, what happened with me was we're all on whale watch, right? So you got your mask and your snorkel around your face. You keep your fins on. Mm. So we're going along the coast, parallel to the coast there, and we're heading up to dive sites called 5 and 9 Mile Reef, right? Mm-hmm. And we're heading up there, and we're on whale watch. So I see this pod of dolphins, right? They're all just jumping through the waves, all the rest of it. So we're sitting there and everyone's going, oh, that's amazing, that's amazing. So I just turn to my right and I look up, and there's this rogue wave coming right alongside the boat. It's going to capsize us all. And I shout, wave, wave, wave. So skipper, young guy, right? We're all young kids back in the day there. But so he just turns the bow into this wave, and the boat goes like vertical. Yeah. Right. So, of course, yours truly is about 5 meters in the air on the bow, and this boat comes down, and I crunched my chin on the crossbar, and my tooth just shatters and it goes straight through my bottom lip. Right, I just put my tooth all the way through, and there's claret everywhere, and everyone's going, "Oh no, what's going on?" You know, and so like now, to get out to 9 Mile Reef it's very prestigious because we only go out there like once a week, and the guys were. Everyone on board the boats go, "Oh my goodness, are you okay?" And I'm going, "Yes, I'm fine." Yeah. And of course, my bottom lip looked like bubble gum, you know, and there was a bit of blood there. And I basically stuck my finger in the hole, and my tooth is broken. And the guy said, "Oh man, shit, do you want us to go back?" I thought, "No, man, we're not going back. We're going to do the dive, man." You know? And so anyway, we did the dive. I had to hold the regulator in my mouth because my lip was so swollen, and I think the salt water was very therapeutic for it, you know. And of course, on that dive, we had this massive tiger shark. Just come around and just come around us, and that's quite common. Like we get buzzed maybe a couple of times a week, and that was one of the earliest big animal encounters that I'd had as a kid. And I thought, oh my God. Now, you know, everyone goes, "Oh, shark, shark, shark. Oh my God, I'm going to die." But like these creatures, man, this was a massive female. And of course, so we briefed, right? So we briefed, like, because it's all drift diving. So I was up on a deco marker buoy, and so we're doing our safety stop because it wasn't too much technical diving or deep diving back in those days. This is 91, 92, around there, and so I was sitting there with the marker buoy and the reel. And I said to everyone, "Just come round." And I was just playing the idiot, you know, like I normally do. And of course, this tiger was just circling around everybody. And like, I was like, "Hey, look at me, you know." And because like people would have shit their pants, right? If they'd seen this massive big female. And of course, the skippers are super clever too, because they are just following us all the way along, right? They're just following. And so this guy, this big boy was a big South African boy called Johan. I'll never forget this guy. He's like the guy was like 22, but he was built like a brick shit house, right? So maybe, I don't know, 120 kilos. Just a big boy, right? And so part of the thing is that with tigers is that you're quite at risk when you're on the surface, right? So what you do is, or what we did was, when we surfaced, there was no messing around. So what Johan did was he'd hand me a pole, right? And I would just like hold on to a little bit of rope on the sides because the boat was always drifting away. So I'd hold on to the pole and I'd keep my head in the water, and I'm making sure that this thing, I just like push it away. Yeah. And of course, he's going to the clients, "Hey, don't worry about taking your gear off." And this guy was so strong, he would just like lift people out the water with the gear on. They go, "No, it's okay, I'll take my gear off in the water." No, don't. And he was like pulling them in. It was, oh man, I'll tell you what. Yeah, but that's what got me going, man. And but Galapagos, man, Galapagos is like, it's just something special, eh? And you know, Wolf and Darwin, like, who are you going out with?
I lead expeditions as well, so this is a trip I'm taking 12 guests on.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And do you, what vessel are you using?
Master.
Okay.
Master liverboards. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And but oh man, I tell you what, Darwin, just those hammerheads, it's just impossible to get that vision out of your mind, you know.
It's remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know, some of these frames that I've taken, and I've counted like over 100 animals in these frames, and I just, it's impossible to get sick of those visions and those sights, high current. It's again white knuckle diving. Like you got negative entries, descents, high current, and it's just fun from the beginning to the end. But even with all the hammerheads and the Galapagos sharks and the whale sharks and the dolphins and the mantas and the long tail stingrays and the eagle rays, there's what really made my trip were those marine iguanas.
Oh, they're amazing, aren't they?
Those, like, my goodness, man, like. So just learning a little bit about them, right? So obviously being cold-blooded. So these guys have got a timeline, and this is why they don't give a shit about you in the water, and they don't care. They don't care, like, because what happens is that the water's like and I know that but for people who haven't been to Galap, like. So there's about a 200-mile difference between Darwin and Wolf Islands and Fernandino Island, and like the main group of islands. It's a big place. So a lot of people don't realise that Galapagos is a big place. A lot of space in between it. There is a 10-degree centigrade water change in temperature between Darwin and Fernandino, right? So 26 up north, and about 11 or 12 on Fernandino.
Yeah.
And so like now all these marine iguanas, and they're not big, eh? I thought they'd be big, but they're not that big. So they're about a foot and a half, or just over half a meter. That's it. These things aren't that big. And so these guys would eat this turtle grass or this moss on the rocks, and they would so like now here's the timing. So if they spend too much time in the water, when they get out, they can't warm up and they will die.
I didn't know
if they spend too little time in the water, they won't get enough food and they will starve. It is wicked, like, brutal, absolutely brutal, and if you actually look, when you go, mate, and when you go onto like close to the island, all the rest of it, you'll see all the carcasses, you'll see all the dead iguanas, and the guys have just thought, someone like me, I like my dinner, so I'd probably spend a little bit longer eating than I should, and the guys have paid the price, and they just couldn't get warm, and if it was an overcast day, and the rocks didn't heat themselves up, and all the rest of it, it's just the whole place, like Galapagos. Oh my goodness! Like from start to finish, I would say to anybody that's listening, the place will enhance your soul. It will enrich your mind, and like just going and walking on the land tours, these 150-year-old tortoises, and again, something else that I learned was, sailors used to take tortoises on board the boats with them, because then they wouldn't feed them for 6 months and they would still be alive, and then obviously they'd turn them upside down and they'd cook them up. Yeah, you're right. That feed more than a family of four, right? So that's the reason why they would be taken on board these ships, and they would stay alive for extreme amounts of time, and be used as a food source. And I believe that they taste like chicken.
It's got to be better than a sack of spuds for every day, isn't it?
I've eaten dolphin and whale, but not tortoise. No, I'm only joking. I'm only joking. I one year I posted up a gag image of when I was in truck, on decompression, I'm sitting there, and you get quite bored after a while and all the rest of it, and this beautiful big jellyfish just like jellyfishes past me. I'm going, oh, that's nice. So I'm taking some pictures of it, right? So as it happened, and I didn't plan it like this, as it happened, in the background was the actual mooring line, submerged mooring line, and there was a diver decompressing on the mooring line. So when I took the picture, it looked like the line was coming from the jellyfish, right? Yeah. So I posted online, right? I said, look, oh man, this is an amazing find. Scientists have been calling me for days. We've found the largest jellyfish in the world, and we've pulled it in. We've managed to grab it, and we've tied it up, and we've pulled it into the shallows. Do you know the amount of hate emails that I got? I got so much hate. I'm going, dude, it's a joke, right? We were having some fun. It's a gag, right? But yeah, it did look real. So so I've been. That was the start and end of my.
It went down like a sack of shit. Yeah.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
And in fact, the picture still comes up every now and again. I said, "Shall I repost?" You know when it goes, "Oh, yeah."
Oh, memories.
No.
I did. Just thinking, you talking about Sodwana Bay there. I had flashbacks to doing my trip through South Africa, and it was the first trip that I put together. Just a bunch of friends go and do the sardine run, and one of my friends that was on the trip, he was celebrating probably his 60th, but he said it was his 40th, and he was travelling through South Africa, and was going to hook up with us to do the sardine run. He said, just out of the blue, he says, do you want to come a couple of weeks early? Do you want to come a week early or something like that? He says, I'm going to be passing through Joburg, if you can fly into Joburg, and then we'll do a driving tour and go through and do Kruger National Park and head our way down to Sodwana Bay and Durban and then go up and do the sardine run. I was like, fucking too right, I'm in.
So you down Sodwana?
Yeah.
Oh, it was awesome. Smashing it, man. Smashing it.
So where you're talking about launching from the beach, I'm getting flashbacks of thinking, how the fucking hell we're going to get out over that? And it's so impressive how they move those boats around.
Mate, it's like so when I was working there, right? So during the weekend, we get all these weekend warriors coming from Joburg, and it's like the roads. Obviously, hopefully it's got a lot better than when I was a kid and I was diving there. But the road was like a metal for the last 300 k's. It was just terrible. And so you get all these weekend warriors coming, and then during the week it was fairly quiet, and all the local guys would say, "Oh man, listen, we're going to go to this during the week, and it's super quiet." And they said, "Look, we're going to go spearfishing. Do you want to come?" And I said, "Stuff you! I know exactly what's in the water. I ain't going to go spearfishing." I said, "But I'll be your boatie."
Yep.
And the guy goes, "Oh, that's awesome! That's awesome!" Like no one wants to be the boaters. I said, "Yeah." I said, "Look, just as long as you get us out, because I'll kill ourselves and everybody there if I had to do that, you know, because that there's a huge amount of skill that these guys are doing.
It is impressive.
And it was just watching these guys wrestling with these sharks with them catching some big fish. But did you know? And you probably do. That is. Sodwana is one of the big coelacanth aggregation areas.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. And so I've been wanting to go and dive and look at these prehistoric creatures for a long time, and that is one of my bucket list shots, man. Is to go and see if we can go and experience these beautiful creatures, man. And they're not too bad. They're about 120, 130 meters, and these big overhangs. And I thought, oh my goodness, that would just be the best experience ever, wouldn't it?
I'm just having a look at them online.
Imagine seeing those.
Coelacanth, yeah.
Yeah. So they've also found them in I think it's in Indonesia, but the offshores, mate, like
What are they?
So hey, tell me. So I've also wanted to do the sardine run for many years. I've got a lot of very good mates who lives in South Africa, and they say, "Oh man, you got to come. It's just like
You've got to do it.
It's like nothing else, man." But like not so much. Were you diving or were you snorkeling?
No.
Because it's pretty quick, eh?
You can do. I would say if you're there for 5-6 days, then you'll probably do a couple of dives. Rest of the time, it's when the pilot's over the top saying this is where it's going off. You're just getting fins, mask, snorkel, and away you go.
That's what I've heard. It's just like super, super quick, and it's you got to get in and out the boat like 100 times, and super dynamic, and you've just got to be quick and Johnny on the spot. And if you're messing around with your gear and blah blah.
Well, have you heard of offshore Africa? It's Debbie Smith, who's part of the Women's Divers Hall of Fame, and her other half, Rob Nettleton, and they operate out of Port St John's. And
cool.
If you're going to do it, I would strongly recommend doing it with them. The behind the mast team use them when they go filming, and they are the ones that have the aircraft pilot spotter. Super.
I
super.
think
good.
you need that, eh?
You've got to. You've got to. I mean, when we did it, we didn't have direct communications with the aircraft. It would come by, via a second party. So we were always kind of seconds to hear about it, and by which time it's usually too late.
You just gotta be patient, man. And so the other bit of advice that I was told from people is that on the sardine run is like the sardines is actually a fraction of what you're actually going to witness. It's just all the stuff that are there: the Brutus, the Brides, whales, the silkies, the sharks, the dolphins, the gannets.
Mate, it's the whole experience. It's the whole
Yeah.
experience. Just be careful with that pen, mate. It's clicking on the microphone.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Clickety click.
Clickety click click click. Your grasshoppers shut up, and now the pen started. No, but it's one of those. It's an experience where, in fact, the guy my mate Dino, who said come out early and we'll go and do Kruger and Sodwana. We're heading on down to Port St John's, and he's like, Matt, he said, the only thing that I want to see on this entire trip, when diving, is a dolphin. I said, mate, I guarantee you're going to get a dolphin. He's like, nah, fuck off. You can't guarantee. Now, this guy's an experienced diver. He's dived all over the world. Never seen a dolphin while he's diving. He says, there's no fucking way. And imagine this little Welsh accent. There's no I can't do accents, but there's no fucking way you can guarantee me a dolphin at all. And the very first day we get a super pod of about 3,000 dolphins.
Nice.
It's a phenomenal experience. You would love it.
Oh mate, I like so COVID, right? So everyone's going, oh my god, COVID. But COVID brought out a lot of good things, in my opinion. We've all just learned to realize just how much we don't need, and all this stuff that we just that we just don't need in our lives. And I was really quite fortunate because I got quite a bit of natural history work, and we spent like 6 weeks on a BBC shoot doing false killer whales, and just being around these creatures. And we also did another 6-week shoot on orcas.
Nice.
And the stuff that's going on in New Zealand is incredible, and I was very, very fortunate enough to get these gigs, and just being on the water, and this is kind of like it's like a 90-10, right? 90% just trawling the oceans looking for stuff, right? And that 10% of just sheer and utter awe, and I think that's kind of equated to our lives. I think that we've got to kind of we've got to wade through 90% of shit, of stuff, right? That we got to do, pay the bills, wade through all of that, but but it's at 10% that really enlightens us, and to say, look, we are. This is why we do what we do, and I, I just couldn't do anything else. I really couldn't do anything else, a personal thing for me is my youngest daughter just learned to dive recently, and she's 17 years old, and I've never ever pushed my passion onto my kids, and it was always quite funny, I said earlier on about when people say, oh, what does your dad do for a living? I'm like, oh, I don't know, and it was super sweet because our main newspaper in New Zealand, the New Zealand Herald, right? Every Sunday, every weekend, they've got a glossy, right? And they call the glossy the Canvas magazine, right? And they did a feature on me. Like it was super funny, a mate of mine was one of the chief photographers for the Herald, and he goes, the guys are like stuck. They had to have been stuck, right? And they said, Richie says, look, I've got this man of mine. He's my mentor, and I learned to dive with him, and I did my photography course, all the rest with him, all the rest. He said, this guy is just like, it's gonna be super fun. Anyway, so they did this big article on me. It was just like, it's just super, like self-indulgent, embellishing. In self-indulgence and all the rest of it, just it was awesome. And anyway, so on the Monday, I went to drop my kids off at school, and I went from unshaven hobo to like local celebrity overnight. It was super funny, and I did Girl Guide talks and Cub Scout talks, and I went and blah blah blah. It was super funny, and of course my kids hated it. They hated the attention, and they go, of course my youngest girl's teacher says, Chloe, where's your dad going to next? And then she goes, I don't know, Sri Lanka. And they go, Sri Lanka. And then obviously they're trying to do it to try and gather some attention. They go, doing a bit of geography. So, where's Sri Lanka? Let's go and have a look and see. Where's that on the map? And my daughter just like had her head in her hand going, oh my God, this is just kill me now. They're only now starting to realize that they're going, you know what, you can do some pretty cool stuff, like all the kids in the world these days, all they just need is just like new phone, got to buy more shit, more stuff, and then all they need and all they want to do is they want people to see them for what they aren't. And I think that there's only a small percentage of people that are actually going to actually figure it out, saying, like, let all these people do that and go out and enrich your life and be with cool people and do cool stuff. And I think that if hopefully one thing will sink into these kids' heads is to remember that, and the rest is just superficial, It's just the rest, like all the other stuff, will come. But
I think you've hit the nail on the head, because I mean, even now, I mean, I'm 50 in February, and running the doing Scuba GOAT, and then putting me expeditions, travel agency back online after COVID and whatnot. I'm just constantly in front of a screen, and in the last 9 months, I've noticed it myself. I spend 10, 12 hours a day in front of a screen, and I'm thinking, what have I achieved today? Fuck all. I've made I've made some pictures on a screen. That's about it. So I can dump everything and just walk outside and go for a coffee and just smell the fresh air. And it just, I think it's going to get lost if we're not careful. And these kids are just into a screen 24/7. Yeah.
And we get habituated into all of that sort of stuff, but unfortunately, and I say this with the best intention in the world, we all can't go on holiday.
No.
We all can't be in this business. Like, do you know how many people say to me, "Oh, I wish I had your job"? I say, "No, you don't, because you're the one paying to come on my trips." He says, "I can't even afford to go on my trips."
Yeah.
You know, and I said, "Look, you just keep on doing what you're doing, mate. You're a lawyer, you're a surgeon, you're a doctor, you're a builder, because those guys are loaded. You're a plumber, you know." Shit, the last plumbing bill that I paid for was like cost me an arm and a leg, you know, and the guy is still laughing at me today, you know. Yeah. But the thing is that now is that all these guys are coming out, and we just got to do the best we can, and when we can, and I'm just super grateful, and it's taken me a long time, and persistence, and but if there's any advice that I was going to say to anybody who's wanting to get into this industry, is get into it for the right reasons. If you want to make money, I don't know, go and sell houses or shoes, or I don't know, sell something to somebody. But if you want to do cool shit with cool people, you get into something which you're passionate about. And the rest will sort itself out, you know. And you know, I'm just so thankful, and I just love being. I just have to pinch myself, you know. Yeah. And I'm just super thankful, and I'm just, you know, looking for the next adventure, and you know, at the end of the day, it is my business. I have stopped doing pro bono stuff for years now, because it's become a thing of the norm. People say, we'll pay for your flight and we'll pay for your expenses, but we can't afford to pay for you. And unfortunately, as a dive professional, that's quite hard, because even though we're passionate about what we do, you know, I get, I would say maybe 4 or 5 emails a month of these people, these journalists going, I'm doing a story on Bikini Atoll, and I saw your pictures. They're amazing. And listen, can I use them? I'll give you full credit.
Yeah. For
the pictures. And I said, look, listen, and listen, thanks very much for your kind words and all the rest of it, but the only credit that I'm looking for, I don't need credit. The only credit that I'm looking for is a bank credit, and I'm happy to partner up with you and all the rest of it, you know. And they go, we don't have it in the budget to pay for any pictures. I said, well, go to Getty and go and get some.
Mate, I had it just before Christmas, and it was a very well known. TV channel that they approached me to use my video footage of the blackjack in Papua New Guinea, and
cool.
And I know it's the best. It's the best that's out there at the moment, until someone turns up and does the photogrammetry bit. But as soon as same thing. As soon as I said, look, credit's no good to me. If you want to use it, pay it. Silence. Yeah. You know, that cricket was there and the tumbleweed going through the background.
Yeah, and the thing is that now is the fact that you say, look, credit, and the thing is like market rates for market footage for market rates. So like, no, I don't want anything more or anything less. You know, like it's just like being a professional, and then and I think the more times people say no, the more it validates our industry, and that's probably the worst thing about our industry, is because is that people like you got diving instructors who teach for self-actualization, right? They go, well, I don't need to earn money from teaching, so therefore I've got a successful company that I make my money from. I just want to feel good about myself to teach, so I don't want to charge people any money at all. And then now people are going, hang about, all back in the background, we're all going, hey, we're all trying to trying to earn a living from this, and so that's like in New Zealand, that's changed quite a bit because we've had quite a lot of regulation over the years, and I know Australia have got quite a bit of regulation too, and so does the UK, and it's I think it's been a blessing in disguise because it focuses on people that are dedicated to the business as opposed to the weekend warriors, you know. But
I must admit, I think the more I've thought about it and the more I've spoken about it is the fact that everybody can go diving now with a camera in their hand. On first thoughts, you would think it was detrimental to those of us who can take a good photo. But when you see the amount of shite that's out there and people try and sell it off, it's not going to be long until, you know, those that really want to use proper images are going to pay for it because they can see that it's just shite that some random's taken. So I think it's going to be of benefit to us.
Do you know, what really helps me is when more people take pictures underwater. It really, really does. Because what it does is it helps me up my game, right? Because like now, so there's a couple of reasons. So photography plays a very big role in not just my personal, like it keeps me going. Like photography has kept my passion for diving just as strong as it was now as it was 30 years ago. And I put that down to making sure that I've got my own interests, right? Because a job, just like any job, if you do the same thing day in, day out, all the rest of it, you're going to get burnt out. That's why there's very, very few people, dive professionals, who are in the game as long as you know, you get more, more than, because people go, hey man, the holiday's over, I've got a wife and I've got a kid coming along the way, holiday's over, I need to get a real job and all the rest of it. So you need to persevere, but also a lot of people burn out and they go, because they do a lot of open water courses and then they do too much teaching and they think, shit man, why did I get into this in the first place? Because I love diving. So then like now, so what I've done is I've made a part of my business to make sure that I'm doing what I love doing. And that in my mind, I'm going, I need to go on this trip as I'm, if my accountant is listening, it's a future prospect for future trips, right?
Yep.
But I'm just trying to ease my mental health and to keep my passion alive. And the passion is kept by doing the stuff that you love doing. If you stop doing that, then it's a job. Yeah. So, okay, you got a cool job, and then it's just mundane, right? So therefore, so okay, people go, oh my goodness, you go diving Chuuk Lagoon 36 times. Well, if it wasn't for the fact that I was doing my own projects, and a lot of the time I'd be taking my own photos and doing some photogrammetry, all these little projects that I'm doing, things that interest me and all the rest of it, I would just be going, it's just another job for me, and I hate it, right? But I don't, and that's the reason why I've done that, and so photographically, oh my goodness, that's led me into doing things where you know it would take me, so like one picture, right, take me 5 years. 5 years to take one picture, right? And because I have it in my mind, and this is why I've got into all of these light painting, time exposures, multiple images, stacking multiple images over multiple dives.
Mate, hold that thought for 2 seconds. I really need to pee.
And on that note, we'll take 2.
I'll be back in 30 seconds. We'll go from painting.
30?
I'll go quick.
No worries, mate. That was 30 seconds.
Was it?
Quite literally. No, it was about a minute.
I was going to say it's a very long 30 seconds then. Jesus. I was going to piss myself there. It's all down to this stuff.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Jeez,
I've got the bladder of a fucking mouse. Some days I drink so much water, I'm pissing every 20 minutes. It's ridiculous.
Well, mate, I'm a professional, you see.
So, 5 years to take a photo. Tell me about it.
Yeah, yeah. So this is the cool thing, because when you've got nothing but time on your hands, and you've just about, how many different times or angles can you take of a nudie break? Like, once you've done it, right. So like now, I've got like a million nudie break shots. So like, I'm not a nudie break guy, right? So I'm a rec guy, right? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take images which are different from everybody else. So trying to get your own stance and your own style that's hard, eh? It's a lot of people emulate other people. Ooh, I want to get that backlighting shot of that diver. I want to get this and I want to get that and all the rest of it. And it's very flattering, people want to emulate other people, but at the same time too is that you want to get your own style, I've done a lot of photo courses and photo workshops from beginning to advanced lighting, all the rest of it. And one of the things that I will never teach is composition, right? Because like now is that's the eye of a person, right? So therefore, if a person goes, this is what I think looks cool, well, and they say, what do you think? I'm going, well, if I tell you to change position, then that's my picture, right? So what I'm not going to show you is how to look through your eyes, but what I will do is I'm going to show you what effects. So if you say, I want these effects, then I'll say, well, okay, I can show you how to create those effects. And for the big thing over the last, and it's taken off over the last 5 years, is backlighting and offboard lighting. And we've been working on offboard lighting for a long time, and like now on these programs where I'm teaching is that I'm saying, look, you got to take the picture first, right? You got to find the frame first. So you find the frame, take the picture, and then you say after that you find the frame, you light it up properly and all the rest of it. Now, how is that offboard lighting going to enhance that image? You see, a lot of people do it the opposite way around. They go out and they buy a light, and they have a look online and they have a look and see what the clamping system that I made. That's great. They'll go out and buy that. They'll go to Bunnings. They'll put a 1-inch ball on a Bunnings clamp, and then they'll get the offboard light, and they'll go, cool, I've got an offboard light. I want to do some offboard lighting. And then what they'll do is they'll go and clamp this light, and then they'll now try and adjust their frame to accommodate the offboard lighting, which is the opposite way around. But the cool thing is that, and this is the advice that I say to everybody is you've got to take pictures for yourself. Forget about anybody else. Now, if you think that is a cool picture, no one can take that away from you. As soon as you start saying, I want to take pictures for a magazine, or I want to take pictures for this, and I want to take pictures for that, then now people are going to go, oh, I don't like that. You see, people say, well, I really worked hard on that shot, and now you don't like it, and now it's shit, right? It's not a shit picture, right? But so all I say to people is, don't take pictures for anybody else except for yourself. And then what will happen is that you say, look, I would like to do a better shot. I would like to enhance that. And then what will now happen is that people will go, oh, I like your style. Not the other way around, saying, what type of pictures do you want me to take for you? Like that's commercial photography. Like you get these guys in studios that go, they take a picture of a branded wine, and they want the light to come through the glass, and that's different, right? So like now, so you've got arty-farty underwater pictures, right? Where you got some offboard lighting, you've got some nice ambient light coming through, some good angles, and hey man, you've put it online, and people go, oh, that's nice, that's awesome, all the rest of it, or you go, I'm going to put a picture on my wall, and every time I look at my wall, I'm going to see that picture. And that picture reminds me of my experience, because most people spend 98% of their time in their shitty world. That is unfair. So you work very hard. You work very, very hard for your living, and all the rest. So when it comes to your holidays are gone in a heartbeat. So like now, how you can live through your holidays over and over again is through, in my opinion, imagery. You will tend to look at an image more than you will look at video. So if you've got a screensaver, right, of your pictures to Galapagos, right, you look at that and you go, oh, that's right. And then in your mind, you go, you are going back on your holiday. And the thing is, it's a very, very good escape for people. So therefore, like now, in terms of imagery gathering, next time you go, oh, I didn't get that shot the way I wanted to. Next time, I'm really going to enjoy myself trying to get that shot that I want.
Yeah.
And you'll think a lot about that before your trip. And then, because what do we do, man? Like, come on, man. Like, you go, like the average person, go to work, come home, watch Netflix from 6:30 until 11, go on Facebook, see how many likes you've got and all the rest of it, and then go to bed, right? You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm just explaining my life. Like that's not, it's not quite that. Yeah. But again, like now is that, so if we've got these moments in our time, in our lives, where we go, this trip means a lot to me. I've been gearing up for a long time. I've been practicing. I've been saving up. So this Palau trip, this Galapagos trip, this trip to the Great Barrier Reef, this trip to the, I don't know, a local place. It doesn't matter. So therefore, like now, imagery will help expand the memory. So every single time that, and again, it could be a GoPro picture, like it doesn't matter. You see, and this is why I love helping people to learn about photography. Do you know how much shit that I get from professional photographers because I'm giving information? Oh, I get a lot of heat from professional photographers. People go, oh, why are you telling people how to do this and how to do that? I'm going, oh, listen, mate, like that's just basic stuff. Yeah. Like it's not difficult. It's not technical. It's just basic angles and basic lighting and basic this and basic that. And but at the end of the day, is that like so I get people come on my trips, right? And we have some fun, and I'll help them light some areas up and all the rest of it, you know. And at the end of it, they'll have these images, which, okay, so they're a little bit staged because I kind of know where to angle lights and all the rest of it, but they, like, it's helping them learn about what to do and all the rest of it. And at the end of the trip, they come up with pictures which they're very happy with, and then therefore they're going to be looking on the screensaver. They're going to put some pictures on the wall, and it's just, you know, and hopefully we'll send them back again, and that's where, you know, relationships that I've built over years. You know, these are friends of mine. You know, people are my clients. Like I spend a lot of time with them, and you know, most of all of my close friends are all clients of mine, and you know, they pay me money for a service, but that's a very small period of time. The rest of the time we're catching up, having barbecues, you know, shooting the breeze and all the rest of it, you know. And
well, to be fair, it's I'm in a similar boat. You know, I've got people that have been on trips with me time and time again now, and they're no longer guests, they're no longer customers, they're close friends. And
that's right.
It all marries in with what you're saying about the taking of photos there as well, because you remember the photo that you took. I mean, I look above where we're talking now, and I can see me as the logo. I know exactly where that photo was taken and when and by who. And I know the photos of my good friends and where we were when they took those photos. And it's just an everlasting memory of fantastic times.
It is, mate. And I guess that, like, as professionals like yourself and myself, as like, it's understanding that and helping people get the most out of that. And then when they, you know, when they go back to their job, because they're already booked on for your Galapagos trip in 2025, and they've got to save up like £35,000 sterling, plus just, but you know what I mean. So like it's awesome, mate.
Yeah.
Like I love the process, and you know, doing cool stuff with cool people is I cannot stress it enough, and everything else is just superficial.
This Galapagos trip that's coming, I'm super excited about it because of the people that are on it, and one in particular, the missus, she's coming, and she's never seen a whale shark whilst diving. She's seen them snorkeling, but never whilst diving. And the week that we're going at the end of July is the same week that Simon Pearce was there last year and saw the largest male whale shark he's ever seen in his life. The guy's the leading scientist on whale sharks in the fucking world, you know?
Yeah.
And I've had another one of those moments that I had with Dino, with the missus, that, oh yeah, I'm promising you, you're going to see whale sharks, lady. It's going to be super good. And those memories, they're going to last for life.
Just make sure that you are Johnny on the spot with your GoPro.
Yeah.
Because if you miss that photographic opportunity, you are dead meat.
Mate, I'm thinking. I know where I'm going to be hanging out beneath Darwin's Arch. I know whereabouts on the rock I'm going to be clamped onto, where I'm going to position her, in the hope that he's going to be there.
Your missus go,
yeah. See ya.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm very happy for you guys, man. Like, I'm sure that you're gonna have some amazing encounters, and just being there, even like topside, like on the boat, and then like, you know, when we were last there was like a humpback and a calf just cruises by. You go, oh yeah. Okay, well, all right. Well, you get that over here, don't you? You're like, it's just, everything is just, I think as long as we just appreciate, like, anything that comes past us and across our bow, you know, like, that you know, because, you know, my philosophy in life is you know, tomorrow could be the zombie apocalypse. Yeah. And that isn't as far from the truth as we think, you know, because like obviously COVID and everything else, all the rest of it, we're all stuck indoors, but like, man, like, all I'm gonna say to people is just like, if you want to climb the Great Wall of China, plan for it and go and do it. And like, just plan for your goals. Like, work will always be there when you get back. Yeah. Like, we've only got a certain amount of time in our lifetime, and don't wait until you retire, because you're gonna be like completely habituated to watching Netflix, and not want to go out because you go, oh, it looks like it's gonna rain today, I'm gonna stay indoors, you know. So just get out there, man. Spend the wealth.
But it's a fact of life as well, isn't it? I mean, you're 52. I'm nearly 50. 53. So you know, there's a big difference between 10 years ago and now. Everything slows down, including the brain. And oh fuck me, that's going to be hard. And it's a lot harder than it was 10 years ago. But can you imagine what it's going to be like in 10 years' time? So if you're retirement age trying to do it, fucking hell. No. One of the acronyms that I've lived by for well over 10 years now, probably closer to 15, is JFDI. Just fucking do it. You want to do something? Yeah. Find a way to do it.
I like that.
Do it.
I like that acronym.
Yeah. I want to be the old goat that's stuck in a wheelchair in the old people's home that everybody hates because I'm the guy that goes, yeah, I've done that. Rather than being the guy that sat there saying, oh, I wish I'd done. Yeah. Don't wish, do it.
Yeah. And I think, like, you know, without talking in circles, you know, going back to the COVID thing, like I think people just realize that you don't need most stuff. Like now, figure out what's important to you, and you go, okay, let's go and experience these things. You know, like, oh, it's going to cost a lot of money. Yes, it is, but it's just money. If you like, you know, if you want to get that new carpet. The old carpet's fine. Just put a rug over the big hole. You know, just go out and do some. Yeah, you want to see my house? So like Jeepers Creepers. You're like, yeah, you don't want to see my house. You know? But anyway, like, listen, I'm super glad to have spoken to you tonight, mate. And I just hope that you know, whoever's listening is has got something out of it, you know, and I'm really looking forward to the next adventure, and 53 or no 53, like I'm gonna smash it until I can't smash it anymore, and then we'll then go another round, you know.
Hell yeah, no, I like that thinking as well. It's the only way to be.
Yeah.
Hey, before I let you bugger off, and I've got to get him in before. I think Paul Toomer's probably going to listen to this one. So by this time, what are we on now? About an hour and a half? He might have actually fallen asleep. He's that old, or just had 2 red wines and he's fallen asleep. But
I've got a couple of rounds of that boy. He's awesome.
Yeah,
he's a legend, that boy. Yeah, well, I'm going to be spending some time with him in Malta and soon, you know.
Oh, you're going to RF4, yeah?
Yeah, I'm presenting there, which I'm very honoured to do, you know, and it's, like, again, just these environments, these conferences, like, so, you know, my missus said to me, like, oh, don't you just go there and just drink until like 4 o'clock in the morning, and then what do you get done? And I'm going, well, some of the best deals and some of the best trips have been planned at 4 o'clock in the morning, like over the bar. It's been, and Paulie has been, he's been there on many occasions.
Yeah.
In fact, you know, if we haven't been part of the conversation, we've been looking at each other across the bar. He's a legend.
Yeah.
And he's a prolific diver, and look what he's done with Ray. You know, like it just he's taken something from nothing to what it is now, and all credit to him. He's just a legend, man.
Yeah, super good, super good. Right, before you go, you have 10 questions, sir.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Have you not had a look at them? Good.
I thought we were answering these all the way through. I thought you've got a target here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Are you ready? Question 1.
Ready to go.
All right. How do you describe? This is quite apt, actually, talking about your daughter. How do you describe your job as a diver to people who are not familiar with your activity?
Yeah, I'm a professional wine drinker. That's what I do. It's my thing.
Yeah. Get wet in the daytime and then wet the innards on the night time.
Yeah. I get paid to drink wine. It's a great pastime, you know.
Okay. Can you share a memorable diving experience that stands out to you as the best you've had?
I tell you, like going back to Galapagos, mate. So on the iguanas, I sat there, literally an inch and a half from my face was this iguana chewing away at his breakfast, and I sat there and I just you know, just watched him for, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute, all the rest of it, and that was just one of the most enhancing moments of my life. Saying, look, you know, like I'm in amongst it. I'm with the hammerheads. I'm with the Galapagos sharks, and I'm with these little creatures, and they just don't really care about me, but I'm enjoying their environment, and that was pretty special to me, mate. It was pretty special.
That's awesome. Okay. If someone wanted to pursue a career similar to yours, what advice would you give them?
Listen, man, don't pursue money, pursue your passion. Like, you can't say, oh, I want to go diving and I want to be an instructor. Like, you got to be into it, man. And if this is your thing, then just persevere. Man, I tell you, I have persevered for decades, and you just got to do what you've got to do. And I've had to get other jobs to, like, that's how I got into film work, because my training was really slow, and I started working for myself. And a man of mine said, "Oh, you can come and be a safety on this film shoot." I went, "Oh, okay." And I thought, "Oh, this is all right, and diversify it. Like, if you do one thing, then you can only be employed doing one thing.
Yeah.
Learn to do more than one thing, then you're dynamic, and that would be, just don't be too tunnel visioned in your thoughts of what your career is going to be.
Yeah.
Anything water related is a bonus.
Yeah. If you could change anything about the diving industry or the scuba diving in general, what would it be?
What would I change about the scuba industry? Like, hey, listen, man. There's always going to be the petty price crunchers, the people that complain about everything, but that doesn't worry me. There's always going to be people like that. You just focus on doing cool stuff with cool people. Be in business with people because you want to, right? Not because you have to.
Yeah.
And all the other stuff will sort itself out, Like, why do you want to be in business? Okay. If someone says, "Look, I'll give you $2 million to take this arsehole out for a dive," and go, "Okay, I'll take one for the team," because then that $2 million will help pay for the rest of the Chuuk Lagoon wreck diving project that we're going to be doing, and all the rest of it. But at the end of the day, money is not a contributing factor. The main contributing factor to things that we want to do in our lives. Enrich your life. Figure out what is important to you. And if my daughters were hearing this, they'll say, "Oh my God, Daddy's lecturing again."
Well, I kind of agree as well, though, because money's it shouldn't be the priority, but it's an enabler. I mean, it's one of those. It's the devil on the shoulder, and you've got to have it.
We need it.
You've got to have it.
We need the buckaroos, but like now you got all these people chasing the dollar, and then that becomes their thing. Okay, how much money you got? I've got millions. All right. What are you doing? I'm going to work tomorrow to earn more. Oh yeah, and that's their thing though. So like now you got to figure out what your thing is, and if that's what your thing is, well then that's what your thing is. Yeah. But my thing is like
rust.
Cool stuff.
Yeah, cool stuff, cool people. I like that. I might steal it actually. Okay, so what are your thoughts on ways to minimise human impact on the oceans?
Just be respectful, man. So, like, when I'm diving, wherever I am, in a lake, in a quarry, in the ocean, in a cave, if I see some shit on the ground, I'll just pick it up and I'll put it in my pocket. Just a little bit of impact, minimise, try to educate, and the other big thing is that I see all these people, I see these videos of people touching shit, like there's these free divers touching these sharks. You don't have to touch it, like that's just an ego thing, and it's mostly these female free divers swimming with these gigantic big sharks, and everyone think that's cool, and they're touching them. You don't do that shit, man. Just don't do it, right? And that's only for their ego. There's for nothing else, right? So enjoy the environment, enjoy the big animals, but there's no need to put your greasy mitts on shit,
My dad always used to say, when I was a kid, look with your eyes, not with your hands.
Yeah.
And it goes a long way. Have you seen you've been quite a few times now to Chuuk, for example. Have you seen a depreciation or a degradation of the wrecks there because of the quantity of divers visiting? and people getting hands on?
Not so much the quantity of divers, but like wrecks are like us, right? So the wrecks in Chuuk are like 80 years old, right? So when I'm 80, shit's gonna start falling off me, right? And stuff stops working, man. Yeah. It just like so everything. So at the moment, I've noticed a large impact on the wrecks, right? That's because I've had the opportunity to witness that and to photograph them over the years. But that's the natural progression of a wreck. So the big thing that I'm into is, and I didn't think that I'd get into it, is the photogrammetry. Like I thought, because I'm an arty-farty photographer, right? I do all this lighting stuff and all this and time exposure stuff. And I thought, well, photogrammetry, there's no artistic talent in it at all. And okay, it probably isn't, but I had so much fun doing that because what we're doing now is we're sealing stuff now. We're sealing it. So now, how many wrecks have you seen in their entirety? Now, before I did photogrammetry, zero for me. I'd see bits of it. If you go, because of really good visibility, I saw the bow section up to the midships, but I've never seen a whole ship. So the photogrammetry has opened my eyes tremendously, and that's my big thing at the moment is because it's just holding and securing and sealing these wrecks forever, right? They'll fall away, and okay, so my biggest regret that we didn't do it 25 years ago, but we just didn't have the gear, and we didn't have the technology for that. So let's just not cry about that. Let's just focus on getting it sorted out now, and then the more people, and the cool thing about photogrammetry is that more and more people are doing it now. You can just take a GoPro and video a wreck, and okay, it's not going to be as good as a 50 megapixel image, 5,000 images taken over a wreck, but it's going to be better than nothing. And what that's now done is that secured it in history. That data is more valuable than anything else now, because all that wreck's going to do is going to die. In 5 or 10 or 15 or 50 or 100 or 200 years, it's going to be dead, right? If that product is still there for people to enjoy, that's what I'm thinking about at the moment, and that's what I'm super excited about.
Did you see? You must have seen the latest video put out by Major Projects Foundation. Matt Carter and Lindsay was on it.
Yeah,
of the submarine
on the sub. Yeah, they did a great job on that, man.
Yeah. And forgive me, the guy that's put it all together. You've done an amazing job, but I forget his name. Just documenting it the way that they have really opens up the reality of what photogrammetry does, because it's not only, like you say, putting that historical element into the library for life, but it's also given a visual to the offspring of the people that died on these wrecks.
Mate, listen, like. This submarine, right? So let's just say 20 people will ever dive that.
Yeah.
So like now, you take a 3D model of that thing, you photogrammetry it, and like now, everyone in the world who's interested can look at that and go, oh, that's pretty awesome. In fact, that's more than pretty awesome. That's pretty damn awesome.
Yeah.
You see? So all that's doing is it's saying this is not a graphical representation, or this is not an artist's rendition, or of someone that goes, oh, I'm going to paint a picture of a wreck, and I'm going to put the mast here, because no one can call bullshit on that, because no one can see the whole thing.
Yeah.
But with the 3D model, it is as is, where it is, right there. It's documented, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that is.
I think it's awesome.
Pretty cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah. They've done a great job.
Yeah, shout out to the boys on that one.
Yeah, 100%.
Has your passion for diving or the industry changed over time? And if so, how?
I think my passion's increased, to be honest. I've learned about the business of diving, and but I've also learned, as I mentioned earlier on, about keeping my personal interests alive, and that's a key factor, because anything that anyone does, if you're passionate about something, that means that you've got energy. I don't think this is embarrassing, right? Okay, so I haven't read a novel for 30 years, right? I haven't just sat down and read a book, but I've read so many reports, so many diving physiology, reading Jill Harness' book at the moment, which is just incredible, and people that are like absolute living legends like Jill, and just being a part of all of that is pretty cool, and she was here recently.
Yeah, with Nays. Nays was with you as well, wasn't he?
Yeah. I was on the project too, and we had a great time, and it was just being around cool people doing
cool stuff.
Cool stuff. Yeah. No, I'm up with that, man. I'm up with that.
We'll have to get Jill on the show as well. Work our way through everyone. Yeah. I'm so looking forward to see what Nays puts out.
Yeah, me too, eh? Me too.
That boy's got some talent.
He has got some skills, that boy, I'll tell you.
Yeah. I like him a lot. He's a good boy.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
And I've got one of his photos hanging out here in the foyer. When he came into the studio, he brought of all things, it's a photo of the hammerheads at Darwin's Arch.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good on him. Good on him.
Okie dokie. Is there a particular conservation effort that you are particularly passionate about? If so, which one and why?
Well, I originally started on the Chuuk Lagoon wreck baseline project, and I'm working on that at the moment. But we've actually gone global, and what I want to do is I want to try and put together a worldwide wreck baseline project where people are doing these 3D models and the 3D photogrammetries of all these wrecks around the world, putting them together in one place. Everyone will own their own footage and all the rest of it, but it's just going to a single place where someone can turn up and go, hey man, I'm thinking about going to the Great Lakes, right? Like the Great Lakes, it's fresh water, right?
Yeah.
There's 6,000 wrecks in the Great Lakes.
Is there?
In the States and Canada. There's over 6,000 wrecks. That is one of the bucket list places for me. Like I've been to the Great Lakes, I think 11 times now, 10 or 11 times, and mate, I tell you what, you've got 158-year-old wooden schooners sitting bolt up right at the bottom, and the captain's glasses are on the table right there, and the ship's bells are all there, and the sextants and everything is just pristine, and it was only in like as recent as 1986 where zebra mussels were introduced to the Great Lakes by a ship, like opening up its arse, its bilges, and it had like zebra mussels, and that was the best thing that ever happened because it just cleaned up the waters, and like now the viz is crystal clear, cold as hell, but it's worth it, eh? So the Great Lakes is an amazing place to go.
So is it the cold water or the lack of bacteria in it that's made it preserve the wood so long?
There's no wood-eating organisms.
Gotcha.
There's no wood-eating, like they say there's no oxygen, but there is, because there's fish, there's white fish there and all the rest of it. Then there's tarp, there's terpene, and there's shit, I don't know, there's lots of fish there, but there's no wood-eating organisms. Gotcha. In the Great Lakes. Lake Superior has got no they've got no zebra mussels at all there.
Okay.
You see, So they've got, like, I don't know, there's something to do with the chemistry of the water, but there, oh my goodness, it's black, it's dark, and it's cold, but it's just incredible. The wrecks are just like, you could float them and off you go. They are just, they're just pristine. Yeah. And I believe the Baltic is opening up now. And that you know, the Baltic is called the Baltic for a reason. Yeah. Right?
I can
because
imagine.
it's bloody Baltic. it's this. Yeah. But it's Baltic, I think, is the next big Great Lakes area.
Okay.
Which is they're just discovering stuff all the time there, but it's black and it's dark and it's cold.
I'll leave that to you guys.
What question are we on to?
I'll leave that to you guys. I'll stick with the 30-degree water.
Yeah.
Okay, so of the many safety procedures we have in the industry, if you had to choose one as the most important, what would it be?
The biggest one's got to be the Rebreather pre-entry checks. So we're going 2.25 hours now, so people are getting a bit tired. But man,
don't worry about that. I tell you, most people that listen to podcasts, they'll do 20 minutes on the way to work, 20 minutes on the way home. Don't worry about that.
So in 2011, right? 2011, I'm sitting on the back of my boat. I've chartered a boat. I've got a group of divers out diving a wreck called the Mikhail Lermontov, right? It's a Russian ocean liner that went down under considerably dodgy circumstances. Now, that is a whole podcast in itself, right? So this wreck is lying, right, hard in the port side, right? And she's sitting in 34 meters of water, and the top of the wreck is sitting in 12 meters. Beautiful, beautiful wreck, right? And so I'm the deck boss on this dive, and so I'm sitting in the back of the deck, and I've clocked everybody and all the rest of it, and then two minutes later I hear help, 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 help. So I'm at the back, and there's one of the guys, and these are all Rebreather divers, right? So on the back, the guy, there's this his buddy pulls this guy to the back there, and he's unconscious, right? So I think, fuck. So I go back. I go down to the bottom deck, so I grab this guy, and I'm lying on the I don't know what you call it, the back deck, right? It's about 6 inches off the water's edge, right? And I grab this guy, and this guy is blue, right? He's unconscious. So I just touch this guy's cheek, and I says, mate, I call him by his name, but I just, mate, can you hear me? And inside I am shitting my pants, right? So I'm holding this guy upright in the water, and I'm touching his cheek, right? And this guy goes from blue, and he just chokes a little bit, coughs a little bit, and he starts to breathe. And he opens up his eyes, and he says, I said, mate, are you okay? He goes, yeah. I'm just going to sit here for a little bit. So I'm still holding him, right? Anyway, we get the guy out the water. I had a doc on board, check him out, put him on oxygen, all the rest of it. So the guy was all fine. So anyway, what had happened was he had done his checks on the steam out. He had turned everything off, right? And this is one of these rebreathers where it didn't go on automatically when it hit the water. So there was a lot of commotion in the boat, all the rest of it. Anyway, he didn't turn his handsets on, right? So when he jumped into the water, he went hypoxic. If it wasn't for his buddy grabbing him, and he wasn't positively pointed. The guy would be dead.
He'd be gone. Yeah.
The guy would be like fish food. The guy would be history, right?
Yeah.
And that was the 2012, right? Or 2011, 2012. And I thought, shit, right? This is not on. So right from the beginning, so we had pre-dive checks, all the rest of it. So that's all fine. So we started implementing. It wasn't until a couple of years after that I started thinking about it, and I said, look, what can we do, right? What can we do? So we start implementing the pre-entry checks, and there's 5 checks that we do before the guys get in the water, and we do this methodically now, and this is part of the talks that I'm going to be doing at Rebreather Forum 4.0 in Malta that I'm going to be talking about, and all these 5 checks are making sure that the person's handset is on, their gas is on. They do a pressure check. They hit the manual add valve to make sure that the pressure gauge, because if they show the pressure gauge, that means nothing, right? If they push the manual feed button and the gauge goes down, it's not switched on. Yeah. You see? Excuse me. So this pre-entry check for me personally is the most important piece of safety kit before you get in the water, because this is just for rebreather divers, but that's the same thing as what we do for open circuit divers. We check the gas, open, switch on, check, have a breathe, and then they go. Yeah. Right? So that's exactly the same as open circuit, and that has saved lives in the future. And I ran one of the largest expeditions to a wreck called the USS Atlanta in the Solomon Islands in 2016 before we got shut down. And we got the USS Atlanta's sitting in 140 meters of water, right? So we've got the top 0.5% echelon of rebreather divers in the world, right? So I've got 16 of these guys, right? So right now I'm implementing this pre-entry checks. How many problems do you think that we picked up in the first 2 days?
I would probably say it's going to be quite high just because of the conversation we're having. And, rebreather divers they take a lot more care over the stuff than what recreational divers do, I suppose. But it's right across the board that complacency and confidence gets in the way. So I would say higher than what I would expect. Maybe.
Give me a number.
What number of mistakes? Number of errors?
Yep. Major life-altering mistakes.
16 divers. How many dives a day are you doing?
1.
Just the 1. Thought so. Just checking. Come
on, don't think about it too much.
16 to 20.
Okay. Yeah. Bang on the money. 15 mistakes. Now, I'm talking about gas not switched on, computer set to the wrong gas. So like now, all I'm saying here is, and this is I'm breaking into a major component of my presentation for Malta, but people make mistakes. We just as soon as now there's someone saying, "Hey man, I want to see your computer. I want to see your gas on." As soon as they realize that is happening, then they start thinking about it more.
Yeah.
And if we can save one life, then that is what it's a job
well done.
But yeah.
And I think I think a lot of people are coming round to it now because of the good work of like yourself and Gareth Locke in particular that's putting the flag up and saying, you know what? Ego needs to be left at the shoreline, and let's get things regimented and routine. And it's
totally, mate. No, Gareth's a good guy, man. He does a great job. He does a great job.
He does. Okay, what are your top 5 bucket list destinations? I know what the top 2 are going to be.
Oh, mate. Shit. Man, I tell you, there's such a lot. But Antarctica, I'd love to. I've wanted to dive Antarctica for the last 2 decades, 3 decades.
JFDI.
Papua New Guinea, I haven't been to yet.
Get out of it.
No.
Seriously?
Not yet. No,
oh,
not
mate.
Yet. Yeah. So the cool thing is we can't do everything. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to slowly do everything. So, I've dived Britannic 5 times. I want to go back. I want to take some more pictures. Britannic. I love that rig. And another big thing for me is Newfoundland, Bell Island.
Okay.
Oh, mate, that is basically a cold water Chuuk Lagoon.
Yeah.
And they've got everything there. You can go dive with whales, right, on an iceberg, and then go dive these shipwrecks, and then for your surface interval, you can go and dive a flooded mine. The guys have got everything there.
Wow.
It's cold as hell.
I can imagine.
It's like you're not going to get double digits on any of those dives, and that's C, not F.
Yeah.
But that's more on the Great Lakes. There's so much unfinished business there, and I've only been to Croatia once, so I want to go there more times. But hey, listen, man, there's just cool stuff.
Yeah.
We're
Cool people.
Yeah. So if you're listening and you need someone to take a picture of you and you want to go somewhere cool, I'm very reasonable.
He knows a cool person. Yeah. Hosts a podcast.
Yeah. Oh no, you got to get back behind your screen. Like, you just leave the dirty work to us roadies.
Good on you. Okay. How would you describe the dive community to a non-diver?
Oh, mate, it's like any adventure sport. You got all the doers, a lot of gonna doers, a lot of gonna talk about doing, but it doesn't matter. That's like anything. All you're gonna do is you're gonna focus on what group that you want to be in, and of course we all want to be in the doers group, because then cool stuff with cool people, baby. And then it's like any group, any adventure group. Just understand who does what, and like there's quite I'm quite lucky in New Zealand because there's very few egos in New Zealand. Yeah. We've done a good job of that. We've kind of like ironed out the arseholes, and don't know that there's always going to be that in the industry, but again, if you're in an environment where there's lots of people that you don't want to hang around with, then don't waste a second around those people.
There's plenty of other nice people.
Oh, mate, there's a lot of cool people, and just focus on that, and then all but good things are going to happen to you, and it's just going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, and you're going to have to come back on because there's so much shit we've not spoken about. Like almost going down with a boat on the rocks and God knows what else. We've not even touched on that.
Oh, mate.
You know what I mean?
Shit. Like, if I was to tell you all the stories of woe, no one would never come on my trips, you see. No, just time on the water, mate. There's just like old salty sea dog stories. I look forward to it again. Once it does,
we'll save that for season 5.
Yeah. What season are you in now?
4. Same as you are right now.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
It's only took you 4 seasons to get on here, but you're here now.
That's all right, man. It's been my pleasure, It's been an absolute... I hope it hasn't been too painful to listen to.
No, it's been great catching up. Yeah. It's you're a character and you're doing a bloody good job. So keep at it, and we'll see you back on the show soon enough. Ladies and gents,
thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. Ladies and gents, thanks for listening in. And if you want to get in touch with Pete or jump on one of his boats or one of his expeditions, just go to petemesley.com and, just Google him. Google his name, you'll find him. All right. Thanks for tuning in, and bye for now.
This is Scuba GOAT Under the Sea, the podcast for the inquisitive diver.